So today, first off, we gotta go start off with some snacks. Just went right next door. And then we're going to our assembly factory. We're gonna go meet with our contacts there and just kind of get an initial plan because we're gonna be there multiple times over the next 2 weeks. Probably most of the time we'll be at our assembly factory.
So we're at the front of our assembly factory. It's up on the top floor up there. We're just waiting for someone to come down and bring us in. But this morning we're doing a full audit of the incoming quality check procedures. So the IQC. We're going through all of the steps. So from when our individual parts and sub-assemblies arrive, the checks that they do, the tests that they do, how they report faults, what they do with faulty parts. And we're going to make sure it's done right because that's the first critical step in making a high quality, fully assembled skateboard. Then the next thing we need to do is, once 10 have been made, how do you test it? Yeah. What's the outgoing quality check? Yeah. And then once we see that done a few times and know that it's done the right way, that's sort of all we need to see.
Yeah. Hi.
Rowan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Hi,
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Kim.
Kim, Bara.
Nice to meet you, Kim.
How do you control this when you're doing production if you start getting things that aren't right, or all of your procedures for when you accept other parts, how you test the motors? Because the other thing, Barra, how many motors did you get sent to you?
70.
70 motors, and how many failed?
Within a week, I think 15.
15 out of 70.
Yeah. Well, there was about 15 to 20 from the last batch that we shipped.
So those motors came from workshop and then got sent to you?
Yeah, there was 140 in stock at workshop, 70 were transferred to... Yeah, the motors that I've received, the 70, about probably 10 of them so far have failed because they stutter.
Yeah, but it's nothing to do with the outwheel.
No.
Yeah, so what we're wanting to see is, what is the test that you did when you received those motors? Is it 100% test, or is it a few? And what did you do when you found the problem? So we'd like to see the test jig because we need to make sure it's functioning. Because we found a problem and those motors shouldn't have passed the test. So we need to see that process. And then we'd also like to see, what is your report? How do you describe the fault and how you told the factory about that fault? We need to see that process. But our main priority is to see the full production of the skateboard, to see the procedures, make sure all of the instructions are up to date. We noticed that there's no torque settings on there. We need to calibrate the tools, make sure all the tools have been calibrated, make sure all the processes are in place before any production starts. We'll be putting a lot of time into making sure the instructions are correct, the tools are calibrated, the tools are labeled. Barra's bought some tools.
Yeah, brought some tools.
We can show your production manager. Yeah. We'd like to make sure that that's in place and go through all of those processes, because that's one thing that we're having a lot of problems with, and we really want to make sure it doesn't happen again. I think it's easy to solve once we get the information and the procedures correct. It's important that we control the dimensions of the holes, so you could it's important that that's correct. So you need a method to check that. If it's not right, it doesn't go together, but still sometimes it can go together and maybe it's skewed, or so it's important that we see what your process is when you get the deck, what check you do to make sure it's good. I'd like to see the document or the instructions that your workers use when they receive that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the new electronics component that will be used in the next batch, we will have a more advanced jig that is easier to test the parts. So some software that we will give you,
It'll be
and
easy.
just a little screen, and you can just press it and it will run the test automatically,
Yeah.
and it will tell you if it's passed, and it will test all of the correct parameters. But because we don't have that yet, we need to have a manual checklist and make sure that everything's been checked.
Yeah, the new deck.
Yep.
Is this the new urethane? The new formula?
Huh?
This is the new formula that you tested?
Yeah.
No? How do you feel about the blue inlay?
Yeah.
I like it because this is the wrong color with the
The wood. Yeah.
yeah,
It's black.
yeah,
Right?
it's the wrong color. Yeah. I was gonna put it on the table, but I don't know, man. The urethane looks pretty good, honestly. Check it out. This is the new urethane formula. It's wearing very well.
You're not screws in it?
No, well, he did that. He was burning it out.
Oh, okay.
Remember, that was part of his
Oh,
test.
that's right, yeah.
Yeah. I hear good things about retaining compounds.
Specifically order the high temp version. Oh baby. And we got some screws. Very good. And it's pretty comfortable on the hand too.
And it's plastic, right?
This is 3D print. Look. It's not bad for a 3D print.
Balance is good, but strength.
Straight, yeah, the aluminium will be better.
By end of this week, or by end of this month.
By the end of this month,
Yeah.
That's very nice. This is gonna go viral.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Like, I could carry that for 3 times longer than the previous handle because it's comfortable in the hand.
You're not fighting it, right?
Before it would cut into your
Yeah, and
fingers.
it'd be like just right there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay.
They sound like that because they need to be calibrated. They sound like that because they need to be calibrated. So.
One of the problems with this motor is faulty, and this one is perfect. Okay, this one does not spin, or it makes a noise or smoke. You know, now what do? I want to see the documents. Is there a sticker that we put on it that's faulty? What is? I'd like to see that. That report, I'd like it to be loaded into Trello against the purchase order. So then, when we talk to the supplier, we can say, last time we ordered 500 motors, and here's our failure report. There were 10 that were bad. How will you make it better in the next order? And then all the information's there.
They sound terrible because they're not calibrated. And motor problems often present themselves in form of an odd sound. So I think a proper test would be with calibrated motors. These, I mean, they sound like they're broken. We know they're not.
Okay, so just to be clear, what we tested here is that we test that we don't have any problem on that. We don't test the quality of the motor. We just make sure that everything is linked. Power can be power. And then when we have assembled the board, then we test how the motor is running on the
Okay, you say that you keep these two motors paired with this, right? Well, why don't we just calibrate now?
Yeah, we could.
Why don't we just calibrate now? It's on the bench. It's easier to access.
just change
and
the
and you
software.
Why don't we? It's easier. And it's easier for you. And you just all you have to do is assemble it all on a board, and then you can do your final test.
I think the only missing element then is load. Just if we can recreate
All
this
inclusive.
with a single, even one of our skateboard wheels. So can you get your engineer to?
tomorrow we are going to come
Yeah, because this could be cut in
Just
half.
to separate the two
But the
motors.
axle, they need to put a new axle in there. It'll still have the LCD screen on top. We just haven't got it in this picture.
Or just like
Okay.
grab
And
a fresh heat
this
We don't have to teach them this
new
whole
design has better performance.
It actually can, but we're not utilizing the maximum. We sell these. We just launched this 4 days ago, and we've already sold several hundred. get him to update that, plus the thermistor cutoff, probably should be solved.
Should be.
Fuck,
I think we
brother.
solved it, boys.
I totally forgot about that.